name is Ati Nimai. I'm the CEO here at 43 Air School. I'm also owner of the business, and we are the largest flight training school in the African continent. We're one of the largest privately owned schools globally. We have at any given stage about 350 students with us. We specialize in training airline pilots predominantly, and we're the only ATO, which is a aircrew training organization, that can actually take a pilot from selection right through to type rated on an airliner. In this business, there's about 180 ATOs in South Africa, believe it or not. This is by far the largest, but we're not really proud of being the largest. We're proud of being the best. You'll see on the news and so on, a couple of years we've won best company in the country, Aviation company, for instance, which really speaks of the people I have here. We have very high standards that we have to keep for very good reasons. At any given stage, we have nearly 50 aircraft in the air at a given time. This airport, we manage and own a large portion of it. Therefore, we also train air traffic controllers to manage the traffic, and we also train aircraft engineers. Most of our pilots come from outside of South Africa. About 18% of our students are South African. We have convinced government to get more involved in giving us students, which they have agreed to in the Eastern Cape Department of Education. We've got 25 learners at school level already enrolled at Port Alfred High School who come here on a regular basis, and we start getting them into the aviation, and we will start this year with the first 25 South African government students that we will train here. We train for major airlines. By example, India is a big market for us, Vietnam. We also train for African airlines like Angolan Airlines, very big airline in Angola, and a few others. But we also train private students. Unlike a university, we have about 7 or 8 intakes annually. So every 6-7 weeks we have an intake of students. For very good reasons, we can't take all our students up front, because then you sit with a lot of students that have to move through the system. We employ just short of 50 instructors, and we also do instructors training in our group. We have 2 affiliates companies in 43, but the most prominent one being PTC Aviation, which is in Cubertha and PE, where we actually do the type ratings on the airliners, as well as certain portions of the work that you do after you acquire a license here. This school, 43 Air School, the name is a very interesting name. We decided to keep it. It was just a number giving to a myriad of schools in all the Commonwealth countries during the Second World War. It was obviously then British government, and the South African government at the time decided to do a training school here, and for instance in Grahamstown close by, in TNA close by, which is now called Kucha or Kariga. We have schools in East London, and this happened to be the 43 Air School. 44 Air School, 41 Air School were in towns close by, and this airfield was used to train up to 3,000 pilots. At any given time there were so many people at this place, but they were also training aircraft observers, navigators, bombardiers, aircrew training guys, and everything was towards the war effort. for the Second World War in Europe. After the war, of course, the need to have the place fell away. If you look at the ramps of the school, it represents a crown, which is how all the Commonwealth training schools were built during the Second World War. And there's obviously a lot of history from that time associated with the school. A lot of people who got trained here died in the war during the combat missions that they did in Europe, Italy, North Africa at the time. And after the war, the school really became derelict. From about 1950 onwards, the Air Force also withdrew here, and it was really the town airfield for Port Alfred. In 1988, a guy by the name of Jim Davis bought the property and started a smallish flight school at that time. And in 2002, I actually led the acquisition of the school for a bigger group. We were part of Imperial Mobility Group, and we had a company called National Airways, NAC, still exists today, which then my portfolio was operations, and one of my businesses that I wanted to bring into our fold, because we were flying globally as well at that stage, was the school. In 2010, I decided to move here full-time, and we bought NAC out, and we brought an equity group in with us. And at that time, we really took the school to the next level, where we started doing a airline program. The school is very far advanced in terms of the way we teach here. Everything is digital. The first thing a student gets when he gets here is an iPad. We control everything digitally for a student, from his health and safety. Even his meals are booked online. We can see if a pilot has eaten before he's flown. Our programs are at a very high standard, because that's what the airlines require us to do. We get audited by these airlines quite regularly, as well as our own authorities. And because of our location, we have certain big advantages, being the big flying area we have around us, where we can fly the volume that we do, whereas you cannot fly this kind of volume and quality in, for instance, Johannesburg or Cape Town. There's just too much other traffic. You have to fly far to fly out from the airport to get to your general flying areas, where most of your training happens. So that's the uniqueness about the school. But of course, logistically, it also means that we have to provide for ourselves for every aspect of flying, and there's lots of aspects that need to be covered besides the flying, because to get the aeroplane to go and do the flying, you need to maintain it. You've got instrumentation to look after, engines to look after, mechanical aspects, sheet metal work that happens, composite work that needs to happen, instrumentation that needs to be overhauled, serviced, and then also your regular maintenance intervals needs to be done. So that's why the school is fully encompassed. Our students live on base. It's university, so they live here, they eat here, they fly here, and they eat, live and sleep flying. It's the way we want it. Flying, unlike other studies, you cannot interrupt it with a 2-month holiday. So when you start flying, you actually have to complete the program. Otherwise, you would have to fall back on lessons you've already done, which cost money. So that's the uniqueness of it. It's about a 20-month, 22-month program to qualify here, but it's a full-time program. There's no breaks. The amount of work that the students go through is very close to a 3-4 year degree at university. But because there's no breaks, we are able to do it in that time. And of course, the practical flying, impacted by weather, impacted by serviceability of aircraft, a student can get sick. So there's a lot of factors that we have to take into account. It's a high-risk environment. At any given stage, you've got 30, 40 students in the air, and that's a risk. So we're quite strict in the way that we do certain things, but for very good reasons. Flying is, in essence, is a passion. It's a dedication. It's a calling. If you haven't got it in your blood, you're not going to like it. You know, it's something which very few people see when they see a captain walking out to an airliner. They think it's a glorified, nice job to have. It is, if you love it. But think of it, you know, the early flights leave at 6 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning. The pilots normally have to sign in an hour, sometimes an hour and a half before that flight actually departs out of the gate. They have to sign on and go through all their things, which means they leave house at 2:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. Now go and do that for 5 days a week, 6 days a week. It's not everybody's cup of tea. But if it is your passion, then like anything else, you know, it falls in place. I got into it through passion. I wanted to fly from when I was very small, and went to the South African Air Force, did a 10-year stint there as a fighter pilot eventually, and then got into the business of aviation. I found that very interesting, and developed it to where I am today, yeah, still doing what I love. Being a ex-military fighter pilot, it's an easy one to answer, because the plane that I flew myself that I enjoyed the most was the Mirage F1. Did quite a lot of hours on it, and was the display pilot for it for a couple of years. So it was a really incredible plane to fly. The Mirage 3, which is a Delta Thing version of the Mirage plane, I would say was the most challenging plane I ever flew. It does keep you on your toes. You are always on the edge of I don't want to say disaster, but from potential disaster. And because of the range of the aircraft, you're always low on fuel. And it's a critical aeroplane. It doesn't have all the aerodynamic features that makes it easy. It is built for combat. F-35 is a plane I would have loved to fly. It's a 5th generation, 6th generation fighter. The US Air Force builds them. There's a couple in the Middle East flying around. I think the aircraft has got incredible ability, and it's a beautiful plane for me. Interesting that you would ask that. The first movie was very accurate, in my opinion, more so than the second one. I happened to be flying as a fighter pilot at that time. 1984 was when the first movie came out. And I thought it was very interesting when the second movie came out now recently, last year, 2013, 2014. The time distance between Top Gun 1 and the Second World War was 40 years. And the time distance between the first Top Gun in 1984 and the second one now in 2024 was another 40 years. That was the difference. And if you asked me in 1984, what would Top Gun movie look like in 2024, in other words, 40 years later, I would have thought it would be different. It would be more advanced. But that's not, the reality is normally money. You know, the cost involved in these aircraft is not for the faint-hearted, as they say. Well, if you want to become a pilot, you have to ask yourself, look critically at your own abilities, be realistic about your expectations, and then decide what career would you like to have. If you like a career where things are planned ahead, you know exactly what days you're going to fly, it is kind of the same thing, but at least you can plan your life, then the airline route is the way to go. The airline route is the most stable, It requires most probably the most dedication, other than maybe the military, which also requires quite a lot of dedication. It pays well, and there's good prospects for it, I would say, for another 20 or 30 years before we'll find that being a pilot is overtaken by technology. If you think cars are still not driving around autonomous, planes will take a long time, longer before passenger planes will be autonomous, in my opinion. Therefore, you have to look at that side of the career. If you like more the adventure kind of thing, bush pilot or a charter pilot, but then your day is not planned. Your boss can call you at any minute and say, we're going overseas for the next 3 weeks. Pack your bag, let's go. So a little bit more onerous in the long term, I think, if you're a family man. The bush pilot thing is very adventurous, but I don't think it's something you want to do for the rest of your life. So my own 2 sons fly, and I've been pushing them forever and saying, get yourself ready for an airline career. And my advice would be to go and find a second qualification. There's no reason why you can't do a university degree as well, or something else that you're interested in, just as a backup. Because pilots, you can be as healthy as you want to be, but you can lose your license at any given time due to a medical issue, your eyes, your factors beyond your control. And unfortunately, or fortunately for the passengers, flying requires somebody up there who's with it medically, and it's a risk. Absolutely. Haven't you not heard? They're taking over the world, and they're doing a good job at it. Without joking too much, I mean the male-dominated aviation career phase is over. The women are coming in. We've got here, we monitor it quite closely, but between 20 and 30% of our student and instructor female is female body, and it's growing. It's definitely growing. You'll see a lot of the students walking around as female. Unlike men, women listens well, and they do well. So 43 School is blessed. We've built up the largest social media following in the world for a flying school. You can find us on all the channels, all the social media channels. That will lead you to our website, which is just www.43airschool.com. All the information is there. There's even a virtual tour of the whole campus and all the different recommendations we do. You go in there, you fill in your details, and our sales agents will be in contact.